Welcome to the NitWits, a weekly roundtable discussion on the Penn State Nittany Lions, now in its 24th season. Our panel features a longtime Penn State media and NitWits tag team, Neil Rudell of the Altoona-Mirror and Mark Brennan of Lions 24/7 with Fight on State. Between them, they've covered Penn State for more than 75 years. The NitWits are hosted by WTAJ's Anderly Penwell, and each week we welcome a former Nittany Lion as our special guest analyst. The NitWits are brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you. By NovaCare, Altoona and State College, we proudly support Penn State football. By Quattrini Rafferty, attorneys at law, Michael Rooch, peace of mind after an injury or illness. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona-Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday.
Welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hello and welcome to Nittany Nation Overtime. I am joined by the NitWits, Mark Brennan, Neil Rudell, and our guest today, Keith Conlon. How are you guys doing?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. So 23-20 loss yesterday. The Nittany Lions fell to the Hawkeyes. Let's just get right into it. What are your guys' biggest takeaways of the loss yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, obviously, is the fact that you can't be a top 5 team and not have an adequate backup quarterback prepared. I know we can get into it as the show goes along. But to me, I've never seen anything like that. I mean, I have never seen a situation where a backup quarterback has gone in, excuse me, and been so ill-prepared. A lot of people are being negative toward Taquan Roberson. That's not me at all. I mean, I think that is squarely on the coaching staff. That's on James Franklin. It's on Mike Yursich. It's their responsibility to get him where he needs to be. And if they don't do it, if he goes out there and struggles, yeah, I mean, he needs to be better, but I think the coaching staff, it's their responsibility to either have him ready or have somebody else ready to do it.
So we're seeing, actually, right now, we're seeing the video of Clifford getting hit. We're just going to stick on that for a minute. Did you guys hear anything else about the injury? I mean, we saw on the broadcast tape, he was holding like his back slightly, but officially it was
no, I mean, they're not going to. We're not going to hear anything directly about that, and nor should we. Yeah,
James doesn't say much about injuries, particularly unless it's season ending. Now you're going into a bye week, so we probably won't know a little more till for another few days. But I agree with that, what you said. I felt bad for the kid in the way that it's your job as coaches to prepare these kids to at least have a chance to succeed, and I didn't understand why. Maybe go into a wildcat. I'm real curious what Keith says. Maybe moving in, if you can't hear the snap count or you can't execute that, go under center, take the snap. Uh-oh. No, seriously. Mm-hmm. Or maybe a couple different looks. They're not real flexible in those types of in-game situations. That was very much an embarrassment.
Well, and Neil, just real quick, because I know you'll have a better point than I do, but it wasn't just the 3 in a row. It was later when they were trying to take a knee, they still weren't going under center. I mean, so what are you doing? I mean, the offensive lineman clearly can't hear him, and you're trying to take a knee, and the kid is still not under center. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, you watch even late in the game, we were still jumping, and it still hadn't been remedied. I mean, try something else out. It wasn't that the clap wasn't working, his voice wasn't loud enough. Put him under center, get him closer to the line of scrimmage. I mean, tell the guys, hey, just look at the ball. We got to go on the silent count. I don't know if he has not done that. They have not practiced it, but it looked so like Keystone Cop type of thing. And to waste such a good effort because of how they came out. I mean, Sean throwing 2 interceptions and this and that, but then we're still up 10, 14 points, 20 points. We're playing very, very well, and we were about to make that we were about ready to the boat race, in my opinion. And then him going out, and then like Mark said, I've never seen anything like that in my life where the drop-off of one guy going out of a game to just complete disarray where we couldn't even get a snap off. It was just amazing to me, and it'll be worked on, obviously, but now you got a loss behind your back, and the whole country's watching you, and everybody knew that Penn State was the much more talented team. I mean, anybody who played in that game knows who the much more talented team was and who actually would have won that game. So,
it's
it's
hard
frustrating
to remember a more big opportunity meltdown that they've ever had. They've had chances for a national championship, at the goal line. Some situations in the 80s with Alabama.
Miami 92 was what reminded me of.
Okay.
We missed 5 field goals in that game, all little chip shots. We throw a late interception, they return it, and it was just like one of those things that we dominated the game for so long, but we just let it slip through our fingers, and we should have been pushing in for touchdowns. Michigan in 93 when they stopped us on the goal line on 4th down. Just little stuff like that, but this is going to come back to it'll haunt them, I think. I don't know if the week off is good or bad.
Well, they've lost a lot of people, a lot of quarterbacks. It's really become a revolving. It shows you how much Clifford has meant to them, but you've lost quarterbacks in the transfer portal. You didn't bring one in this time, and it just really exposed them.
Yeah, I think if we look at it a little different way too, to me, and I think I've said this, P.J. Mustipher was the defensive MVP of this team. If not I thought maybe the overall MVP. I guess maybe I had that wrong because the way, but they were able to lose P.J. Mustipher, who was playing at an elite level early in the game, and the defense still made up for it. And I feel bad for those defensive players because to go out there and do the job they did with their back to the wall the whole game. And, obviously Iowa was able to do some stuff in the 4th quarter, but they had the players who, Devon Ellies went in and did well. They had the players who were able to get it done defensively when you lost a star player. It's just, and then the other part of it is not having a running game.
Yeah.
How much have we said?
Or an offensive line.
Sooner or later in the Big Ten, you are going to need a running game. And guess what? It turned out that you had a quarterback who was struggling, a backup quarterback. You needed the running game, and the running game wasn't there.
The thing about the run that was the most intriguing to me was Sean Clifford was the one who rushed for the most yards, and he only played for, let's say, a quarter and a half or so.
And
that's just...
That's a great point, Anderly, and that's something Neil's been harping on for the last 3 years, right? About Sean Clifford being your leading rusher.
Yeah. Now, they've been really good with timely rushes. He ran for first downs. They had 5, they converted their first 5 third downs, and then they did not convert another one. They went the next 11 without it. 5 series that Clifford had, they had 221 yards. 10 series after him, 66 yards.
He was playing. He threw 2 picks, but they weren't bad picks. I mean, the first one was obviously a horrible pick, but the second one was just a glorified punt. I'm okay with how he played, and you had to respect him because he is that 3-year starter who was just like he just shook it off and was ready to go, and he was going to keep going there. I mean, and there's no doubt in my mind that you play that game and he stays healthy, we win that game handily.
What did you miss the most about him was his leadership, his line of scrimmage presence.
Why are we going into a hurry-up rush offense when we just hand the ball off 3 times, cloud of dust, punt the ball away, play good defense, and we're trying to rush the ball and let's try to quick this game up, not trying to extend it. I mean, there's a few things that you're looking back on they should have done differently or tried a couple different things.
Awesome. Well, after a break, some interesting antics by the Iowa fans nonetheless. So we'll be more with that after a break.
The NitWits are being brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Salaney Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Welcome back to Nittany Nation Overtime. We are the NitWits, of course. The loss to Iowa, 23-20. False starts, huge factor yesterday. Could we just break down the fact that they had 8 of them all game? What do you think needed to be changed? Can we just talk about that, Keith?
I would have liked to see something have changed during the game. I mean, there's multiple things they could have done. Just go on a straight silent count and, something as easy as the tackle holds the guard because the tackle has his eyes out here. He can't look at the ball.
You've been waiting to hold
the center can, you can see the ball right there. But once I feel your hand go away, the ball's up,
Yeah.
It's not the easiest
just
thing
broke
to
his
do,
hand.
but it's just something.
Do you ever remember a situation that you guys were in, all the big games that you were in, crowd noise? How did you adjust? What did you do?
We never once went shotgun. Now you got to remember that.
That's the problem.
We never once ever went shotgun. So just put the kid underneath the center. Coach said he didn't have a deep voice or a loud voice. Then you got to change something up. The fact that we took 3 in a row, it was just absolutely amazing to me. And it's going to be one of those. You know how we replay the delay of game against Michigan when they had to call a timeout in the first play of the game.
Right. Yeah.
They're going to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Iowa's going to absolutely. Home field advantage and this and that. Those fans are crazy and loud and all. And you guys want to get into that, that's fine. But, they're no different than anywhere else.
Disappointing to me is, he had 3 happen right away, 3 false starts in a row. You had halftime to figure it out.
Yep.
And you had timeout. So after 1, do you use 1? Maybe not. After 2, I think at that point, it's like, okay, timeout.
Let's bail our guy out.
Take 1, take it easy. Offensive lineman, because then you started to see the frustration from the offensive lineman.
That's what I saw. See, I watched the game. You were there.
Right. I didn't like that because these guys have played a lot of football.
They were in each other's faces.
I get a young guy being flustered. I don't get these guys who have played a lot of football being flustered because then what happens? How is Roberson supposed to react to that?
Well,
and that's where when we talked about leadership from Clifford, listen, Jahan Dotson's been a great leader. That may have been a spot where you need a receiver like Dotson to step up and say, listen, guys. Now, we don't know if he did or didn't. We didn't talk to him after the game. But somebody there needed to step up and be that leader.
Timeout management has been an ongoing issue. Sometimes they call them when they shouldn't. Sometimes they don't when they should.
And also, another interesting thing about the fan situation, of course, Kinnick Stadium is famously very loud, but players were getting booed every single time they went down. I don't really have any words for that. Ryan Risky and I were talking about this. If you're going to wave to the hospital and then boo players who are down, that's pretty hypocritical in my opinion. Have you guys seen this before from
Even
Iowa fans or any Big Ten fans? Anyone?
I always thought the Midwestern, Iowa, Nebraska fans were very classy. One of their assistant coaches mocked Ebiketie when he went down. It was 83 degrees there. I don't know if it was a factor. I just think there was no place for it.
It's a tough place to play and all this and all that. And if they're thinking that we were purposely dropping down and faking injuries when you have 3 guys who go out of the game, they don't come back. So how are we faking those injuries type of thing? And I've always had an issue.
They show back up on crutches. Must have on
crutches.
crutches.
Right? It's like, they're historically known for finishing their blocks, and they're borderline on that dirty side of offensive line play with the chopping, blocking, and stuff like that. So don't be. It's not an easy place to play, and they're not easy guys to play against. They're a tough team, and I told Mark on the way down here, I said, I have 2 very good friends from Iowa who were big fans who absolutely despise Penn State because of what Trace McSorley did when they hit that touchdown to Juwan Johnson, and he grabbed the football in the last play of the game and he punted it. They still talk about how much they hate Penn State because of that. So there was no love for Penn State going out there, and we should have realized that a little bit. But the booing thing, it's like when you're watching a baseball game and they have a pickoff play at first.
Right.
And why does everybody boo now? It's a play, So you could see where they would be upset, but the guys were actually getting hurt, and it was just it didn't look. The optics weren't too good for Iowa.
Well, they were booing the ball blowing off the tee for the kickoff.
They're ready to boo, man.
Yeah. The one thing I don't get is that Penn State was gaining no advantage through if there was some master plan to fake injuries. Penn State is the tempo team.
Absolutely.
Iowa is the team that slows it down. If anything, that was probably giving Iowa an advantage. One thing, I was a little bit surprised that James Franklin brought that up after the game. I think maybe that's something you bring up a couple days later. I think after the game, when you lose a game like that, maybe better to focus in on the issues of your team specifically and maybe deal with some of those things later.
Well, he
on.
also suggested that all their fans are standing the whole game and they're getting a lot of energy. So I don't know if he was suggesting that the Penn State fans, all of them, start standing.
Well, there's
for the
something else
entire
they do
game.
at there's something they sell at Kinnick Stadium that if they probably did at Beaver Stadium would make people a little bit more amped up, but we can probably let that go.
Welcome to the Midwest.
Yeah.
But coming up after a break, there were a couple good things. The defense and Jordan Stout simply superb yesterday. This and more when we return.
The NitWits are being brought to you by RE/MAX Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Hi, and welcome back. So even though there was the loss yesterday, defensively things looked pretty good. What stuck out to you most on that side of the ball?
Boy, I'll tell you, Brisker to me is just playing at an elite level. That guy, picking off passes, making tackles. I'm trying to remember the last time they had a safety playing that well. So he really stood out. And then again, I think the way that the defensive line stepped up without Mustapher in there. I mean, for Ebiketie to do some of the things he did. Again, I think Devon Ellis hasn't played a lot of football to get in there and play well. Lucetta did some good stuff. Ellis Brooks, just kind of across the board. There were some breakdowns, yes, but it's tough when you have zero margin for error because of the offense.
Yeah, and real quick, when you have a backup quarterback in there, you can't drop passes. They did that, but I thought the defense, it finally broke with two big pass plays at the end. Castro Fields, should have knocked that guy out of bounds, but they were on the field too long. That this defense has played at a really elite level. To me, real impressive, and along with their special teams.
We've played good complementary offense and special teams this year with our defense, and they didn't have that. They were not complimented this weekend at all. I mean, with Mustapher going down and the way they stepped up, and they actually got better as the game wore on. And then, but they, you can't do that for 4 quarters, and that was what was expected of them. And they finally wore out in the end, and those 2 big plays were killers. But you needed some guys to step up, and you did see some guys step up, and you saw some guys not, step up into the forefront. And it's disappointing because you want your stars to make the plays, and if they're not doing that, I mean, you just needed one guy to make a play. One guy, just one big play, because that was like watching that game was like slow death yesterday, because it was like you knew what the end, how the ending was going to be. You just knew it, and you're just like hold on, and when it finally went away, you're like it was expected, but you were still mad. But you got to give our defense credit for stepping up as much as they did with the injuries they had, and that's a pretty good offense, a very good offensive line. Quarterback's a little suspect, and he started getting hit around a little bit. He started seeing goblins out there. So
you know what though, they win with those guys. The
yes,
Ricky Stanzis, Nate
it's the
Stanley.
same guys.
I mean, these guys are not NFL players, and that's frustrating to me a little bit. That you're seeing the better team lose these last couple years, whether it's at Indiana or at Minnesota a couple years, or just situational football that they're not. It's more than just losing to Ohio State.
What did they say before the show about who's Kirk?
There's a lot of stuff you said before the show.
Who's Kirk Ferentz remind you of?
Oh, yeah.
Great defense, great special teams. Don't screw up on the offense. Reminded me of a little tiny guy used to run around these parts.
Well, except in
Minus the
'94, your
glasses.
offense was pretty good.
Well, that was one time out of he was here 88 years. So, but that was watching a Penn State team, and then I always hark back and going back to the '86 Fiesta Bowl. Miami should have won that game, and the end of the game it should have been, but somebody stepped up and made a play.
Yeah.
We didn't have that happen yesterday.
The other thing Iowa always does well is what? Special teams.
Yep.
and they were sensational.
Wow.
And
Both
guess
punters,
what?
wow.
Jordan Stout offset that.
Yep.
And that's saying something. I mean, for Jordan Stout to come in and do what he did, again, no return yards, 2 field goals, 6 punts, averaging over 54 yards a punt. Really did everything he can do. That guy has been a hero for this team this year, and he put them in a position. He helped them counter just a magnificent kicking effort from Iowa.
Yeah, that Taylor has got to be the Big Ten or National Special Teams Player of the Week.
I mean, they may be the 2 best punters in the nation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was incredible to watch. And to see the gamesmanship, you know, there were a couple times there where you thought, does Iowa go for it on 4th and short, you know, kind of near midfield? Nope, never does it, and why not?
He practically covered up in that last situation when they really had a chance to build on the lead.
Almost reminded you of
Yeah.
a year back in 2004 that was an even uglier loss.
And big picture, I mean, this is an odd loss. What does it mean, big picture, for us? That is a loaded question, but what do you think this does mean for the Nittany Lions?
Well, I think they got to get clarity on what's going to happen with the quarterback, number one, because if Clifford is out an extended period of time, they have to decide, can they run the same offense as when he's there? Do they need to take a look at Christian Velo? Veyu. Do they have another option? Do they start to do some wildcat with Warren? They have a lot of things that they got to figure out in the off.
Yeah, you don't want to
game.
lose any Big Ten game, but if you're going to lose one, you want to lose to a team from the opposing division, and you want to lose to the best team in the opposing division. Why is that? Because if somehow you get Clifford back, and if somehow, I'm saying a big if you're able to go out to Columbus and get a win and run the table, if you're able to do that, you're going to get Iowa again. So you're going to have a chance at redemption. Everything's still there for Penn State.
Yes.
Now, obviously, if Clifford's not playing, I think we have to take a whole different look at where the season's going to go. But I think if Clifford is able to come back, a lot of things are still possibly there for him.
Yeah, on the national scene, we took a little bit of a hit, dropping down to 7 to 10 or whatever we're at right now. But nothing's really changed in the end goal, and that is if we run a table, Iowa's going to be in the Big Ten title. We avenge a loss. The committee loves, on the playoff committee, loves seeing that. Win the Big Ten. Again, as Mark said, it's a big if, but you know that's what we got to aim for and shoot for right now. Go out, win the Big Ten, beat Iowa, avenge that loss, and go into the playoffs.
Yeah, plus, hey, 5-1. I think everyone here would have said it's not going to be a whole lot better than 5-1 right now.
Awesome. And after a quick break, we'll be back with our Nitwit of the Week.
The Nitwits are being brought to you by NovaCare, Altoona and State College. We proudly support Penn State football. By Quattrini Rafferty, attorneys at law. Michael Rooch, peace of mind after an injury or illness. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday.
You're watching Nittany Nation Overtime.
Well, Neil, you are the Nitwit of the Week. How's it feel?
Well, you know, I said I'd be happy to be wrong. I stand by that, but I didn't think that Penn State was yet complete, and it was going to take a complete team to go out there and win. So, hey, what can I tell you?
You saved us from a no-winner, Neil. So
Yeah,
even though we're mortal,
I didn't want the
bitter
deflated-
enemies on this, you saved us from a deflated football. So nice work.
Yeah.
Okay, so Penn State is off next week, but we will still be back here. We have a special guest.
Yeah, we have an open date show, and we have our honorary nitwit, Sandy Barber. That's flattery. Sandy's been great about appearing on the show just about every year. We didn't have her last year due to the coronavirus, but we're looking forward to talking to Sandy. A lot of things, a lot of topics on the table. We haven't talked to her for a while, so that'll be your open date guest.
Awesome.
We appreciate her coming down.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for stopping by.
Good to see you again.
Hold on so tight there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next week.
The Nitwits are being brought to you by Irwin Financial, Raymond James, a firm foundation for your financial future. By Monarch Cleaners, for all your dry cleaning, carpet cleaning, and rug cleaning. By Reed and Solani Orthodontics, providing friendly, family-focused orthodontic care in Altoona, Bedford, and Huntington. By McAleer's Plumbing, specializing in plumbing, heating, and air conditioning, serving our community since 1886. By Remax Results Realty Group, committed to a culture of professionalism, productivity, and exceptional service. By Dorman's Jewelry, the answer is always Dorman's. By Star Beverage, no matter what type of weather, we are a convenient drive-through one-stop beer store. By Kogan Electric, lighting the way for you. By NovaCare, Altoona and State College, we proudly support Penn State football. By Quattrini Rafferty, attorneys at law, Michael Rooch, peace of mind after an injury or illness. By Lions 24/7 with Fight on State, your online home for Penn State football and recruiting coverage. And by the Altoona Mirror, featuring Penn State Game Day every Friday and Penn State Extra every Monday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.